The bustling streets of Lagos were alive with the typical morning chaos. The morning sun cast long shadows across the narrow streets of Surulere, a bustling neighborhood in Lagos that breathed with the hopes and struggles of countless families. Horns blared, vendors shouted, and people rushed in every direction. Here, in a small two-bedroom apartment that seemed to shrink with each passing year, Amara Johnson's journey began. Her father, Emmanuel Johnson, had been a civil servant with dreams larger than his modest government salary. A man of integrity and vision, he had instilled in his child the belief that education was the most powerful weapon against poverty. But fate was cruel. A sudden heart attack when Amara was just 15 left the family vulnerable and exposed to the harsh realities of survival in Nigeria's unforgiving economic landscape. Comfort Johnson, Amara's mother, was a pillar of strength. She owned a small provision shop in front of their house, and she worked tirelessly. She transformed their tiny living room into a makeshift storeroom, where she kept some products. Her provision shop also had some foodstuffs, and this would help her attract people who didn't want to go to the market. Mrs. Comfort's shop was a symbol of resilience. As she invested her time into growing her shop, income from her business helped her in the family's upkeep. This also ensured her daughter could continue her education. Amara watched and learned. She saw how her mother's determination could transform limitations into opportunities. While other teenagers were concerned with social media and fashion, Amara was studying, working part-time tutoring younger children, and saving every naira she could earn. Her academic brilliance became her ticket to a different life. Scholarships followed, first through secondary school, then at the university, where she pursued a degree in marketing. Each achievement was not just a personal victory, but a tribute to her mother's sacrifices and her father's unfulfilled dreams. Amara Johnson stood out like a beacon of grace. At 27, she was a rising star in the marketing department of a prominent telecommunications company, her tailored navy blue suit and confident stride setting her apart from the crowd. Her colleagues respected her, not just for her marketing strategies, but for her integrity and innovative thinking. The marketing department was a battlefield of egos and ambitions. Here, Amara stood out. She wasn't just another young professional climbing the corporate ladder, she was a strategist who understood the dynamics of the Nigerian market. Her campaigns didn't just sell products, they told stories that resonated with millions across the country. Her colleagues whispered about her potential. "She'll be a director if she keeps up the good work," they would say. And they weren't wrong. Amara's presentations were masterclasses in communication, data-driven, emotionally intelligent, culturally relevant. Chidi Okoro's car stand was organized and maintained. This business venture was started by his parents decades ago. It represented generations of hard work and entrepreneurial spirit. Chidi had modernized the business by introducing digital operation of the car stand. The car stand had a variety of neat and new cars and some variety of luxury cars. It was obvious that Chidi running the family business brought about innovation and increased sales. It was a Friday evening, and Chidi was driving after he left his friend's house. It coincidentally happened to be close to Amara's neighborhood. She was having an evening stroll when Chidi Okoro first saw her. There was something about her. He was immediately drawn to her beauty and elegance. She walked with so much confidence and finesse. He could see the innocence in her beautiful brown eyes. This caught his immediate attention. Chidi could tell that there was something special about her. It was more than physical attraction. He was drawn to her aura, a combination of professional confidence and gentle grace. Her elegant dress suited her complexion perfectly. Chidi was nervous to approach her, but he watched her walk for a while, and he hoped the young lady stayed around the area so he can get to see her again. For Amara, life had always been about hard work and determination. Growing up in a modest family in Nigeria, she had watched her mother struggle to provide for her after her father passed away. Those experiences had shaped her, making her ambitious, resilient, and fiercely independent. The next day, fate seemed to conspire. Amara was again walking the same route, and this time she wore a beautiful red dress that could be easily noticed. At that point, Chidi mustered the courage to approach her. "Excuse me," he called out, his voice a mix of nervousness and excitement. Amara turned, her eyebrow slightly raised, ready to dismiss another street hustler or potential distraction. "Good day," Chidi said, with a calm voice. "I am Chidi. I own a car stand here in Lagos. Please, can I just have a little of your time? I would like to talk to you." Something in his genuine smile disarmed Amara. Instead of brushing him off, she found herself responding, "Good day. I'm Amara." Their first conversations were carefully choreographed, brief but memorable. Chidi was charming, attentive, and different from the men Amara had encountered before. He wasn't aggressive or overtly flirtatious. Instead, he was respectful, asking about her work and listening intently to her responses. Amara, initially cautious, found herself intrigued. Chidi was different from the men she had encountered. He listened, truly paid attention, when she spoke about her work, her dreams, her vision for transforming corporate marketing in Nigeria. Chidi was strategic, never appearing too eager, always respectful. Amara gave Chidi her number, and they planned to meet up to get to know each other better. Their first official date was at an elegant restaurant. Chidi had clearly put thought into every detail, from the restaurant's ambience to the way he pulled out her chair. They talked for hours, discovering shared values, dreams, and a deep connection that went beyond physical attraction. Over the next few weeks, their paths continued to cross. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes by what seemed like pure coincidence. They found themselves getting more fond of each other. They had phone calls to check up on one another. Each conversation was always something to look forward to. Their relationship blossomed slowly and beautifully. Chidi was different from the typical Lagos bachelor. He was kind, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in Amara's dreams and aspirations. He would listen to her talk about her marketing strategies, her career goals, and her vision for the future. Amara, initially cautious, began to see Chidi as someone special. He supported her ambitions, celebrated her successes, and made her feel valued beyond her professional achievements. They both planned to meet up again, and this time they went to a lounge. They enjoyed each other's company, and they talked for hours, without getting bored of each other. It was obvious they were slowly building a connection. Months passed, and their love deepened. Their courtship was a beautiful dance of mutual respect and growing love. Chidi's family, a traditional Igbo family, from Anambra State, comprised of his father, Mr. Ebuka Okoro, his mother, Mrs. Nani Okoro, and his younger sister, Ego. Mr. Ebuka Okoro was the founder of Okoro Cars Limited. He had worked hard while growing up to build the business to a good level, and he had been training his son, Chidi, on the skills he needed to successfully run the family business in future. Due to Mr. Ebuka's efforts, Chidi developed a strong interest for cars, and when he was done with his university education, he took over Okoro Cars Limited. The entire family was proud of Chidi's success. Ego, Chidi's younger sister, was a beautiful lady in her 20s who left for the United States to pursue her university education. So she just kept in touch with her family through phone conversations. She was very excited for her brother when he told her about Amara. When Chidi's parents finally got to see Amara, they welcomed her warmly. They saw in her not just a potential daughter-in-law, but a woman of substance and character. They watched their relationship with excitement and careful evaluation. Family gatherings became moments of discovery. Chidi would proudly introduce Amara, highlighting her achievements. His mother, Mrs. Nani Okoro, a woman of significant influence in their neighborhood, was particularly impressed. "Amara will make a wonderful daughter-in-law and wife to my son," she would tell her friends. "She is the definition of a good and virtuous woman who will bring honor to our family." Both families were happy for the love Chidi and Amara found in each other. Their engagement was a blend of modern romance and traditional expectations. A traditional introduction ceremony was organized. Both families were filled with so much joy. It was a beautiful and memorable time for everyone. Their wedding was a beautiful blend of traditional and modern elements. Amara wore a stunning white gown for the church ceremony, followed by a traditional Igbo wedding celebration that honored both families' cultures. Friends, family, and colleagues celebrated what seemed like a perfect union, two young, ambitious people deeply in love. After their honeymoon, the first year of marriage was blissful. Chidi appeared supportive, encouraging Amara's career. They both continued their various work. The couple worked together to figure out their respective roles in marriages, listening to each other, and trying to respect each other's opinions. But subtle changes began to emerge. The first signs of change were Chidi's mean comments coming frequently. "Don't you think it might be nice to slow down? A woman's primary responsibility is her home." Chidi began making comments about Amara's career. "Don't you think it might be nice to take a break?" he would say. "We're married now. Maybe it's time to focus on building our home." Amara dismissed these comments initially, believing they were typical male insecurities. But gradually, the comments became more pointed, more controlling. When she received a significant promotion at work, a role that would have her managing a team of 12 and overseeing a major telecommunications campaign, Chidi's reaction was unexpected. It was the first clear sign of trouble. "Do you really want to be away from home so much?" he asked. "Is this really necessary?" His tone different from the supportive husband she had married. "We're planning to start a family. Don't you think your priorities should change?" Chidi's approach to undermining Amara was calculated and psychological. He understood her weaknesses, her vulnerabilities. He knew exactly how to create domestic distractions that would derail her professional focus. Amara was confused. This was the same man who had always supported her ambitions. The same man who had listened to her career dreams during their courtship. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Chidi began to change. He started making decisions without consulting her. He would criticize her clothes, her work hours, her professional relationships. When she was preparing for important meetings, Chidi's tactics became more calculated. He knew exactly how to undermine Amara's professional growth. He would create distractions, accidentally misplacing important documents, or creating domestic drama that would require her attention. Amara noticed important work documents would mysteriously disappear. The home printer would malfunction before crucial presentations. When she needed quiet time to prepare for meetings or presentations, he would create unnecessary domestic emergencies that demanded her immediate attention. During social gatherings, they remained the perfect couple. At church, at family gatherings, at corporate events, Chidi would speak glowingly about Amara. Praising her intelligence and beauty. "My wife, the marketing genius," he would say, earning admiring glances and respectful nods. They maintained the facade of a perfect couple. But behind closed doors, he was systematically dismantling her confidence and professional opportunities. He convinced her to reduce her work hours, arguing that they should start a family. When she resisted, he would become emotionally manipulative, questioning her commitment to their marriage and future children. As the months passed, Amara noticed a gradual decline of her professional confidence. Chidi's comments, initially subtle, became more strategic in undermining her career aspirations. During breakfast, he would casually mention how demanding her job was, how little time she would have for their future family. "Marketing is such a competitive field," he would say, spreading butter on his toast. "Wouldn't you be happier doing something less stressful? Something that allows you more time at home?" Amara would listen, her marketing-trained mind analyzing his words. She recognized the psychological tactics, small seeds of doubt carefully planted to make her question her own abilities. But her years of professional training and her mother's resilience had taught her to recognize manipulation. Amara responded, "Darling, my job gives me a lot of happiness, and I am already used to the marketing field, so you don't have to worry about me being stressed out. I am just fine." Her colleagues began to notice her reduced engagement. Projects she would have previously led enthusiastically were now being managed with decreased vigor. Her brilliant mind, once a force to be reckoned with in the marketing world, was being gradually silenced. Jennifer, her closest work friend, approached her one afternoon. "Is everything okay?" Jennifer asked, genuine concern in her voice. "You seem different." Amara smiled, a practiced smile that revealed nothing. "Everything is fine, it's just the stress of balancing marriage and work." Jennifer jokingly responded, "Single life is the way to freedom, you married people are trying. Oh, my dear friend, please take it easy, don't worry, with time, you will adjust and know how to balance things." Throughout these challenges, Amara's faith remained her strongest anchor. Every morning, before her husband woke up, she would sit by her window, reading her Bible and praying. Her favorite scripture, Philippians 4 verse 13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," it became her daily lifeline. She knew her marriage was experiencing difficulties, but her Christian beliefs taught her about patience, understanding, and the sanctity of marriage. She believed that with prayer and perseverance, things would change. In church, they appeared perfect. She was a pillar of strength. Leading women's groups, participating in community outreach, maintaining a facade of marital harmony, Chidi would hold her hand. During service, they would smile and greet everyone warmly. No one would have guessed the emotional turmoil brewing beneath their seemingly perfect exterior. As the months passed, Amara's world grew smaller. Her vibrant career had shrunk to occasional part-time consulting. At work, she began to notice the subtle changes. Projects she would have previously led with enthusiasm were now being assigned to younger colleagues. Her once vibrant presentation style became more reserved. Colleagues who once sought her strategic insights now seemed hesitant. During team meetings, Amara would catch herself second-guessing her brilliant ideas. The confident woman who once dominated marketing strategy discussions now spoke with measured caution. Chidi's constant commentary had begun to chip away at her professional self-image. Chidi started controlling their finances, giving her a small allowance and monitoring every expense. Amara didn't feel good about this, but she wanted to give Chidi his respect as the man of the house, so she learned to manage whatever money was given to her from their joint finances. The man who had once celebrated her independence now treated her like a possession. Chidi now had full control of their finances. Her once independent spirit was confined within domestic walls. He monitored her phone conversations, controlled her movements, isolated her from professional networks. He was threatened by her potential, her intelligence, and her ability to succeed independently. Yet, Amara's spirit remained unbroken. She continued to pray, to hope, and to believe that her situation would improve. Her faith, her resilience, and her inherent strength suggested that this was merely a chapter in her life, not its conclusion. In quiet moments, she would write business plans, marketing strategies, personal reflections, documentation of a dream, deferred but not destroyed. She began keeping a journal, documenting her experiences. Not as a victim, but as a strategic observer. Each entry was a testament to her resilience, a quiet rebellion against the attempts to minimize her worth. Writing in her journal gave her some form of peace. It was a way to let off some steam she had been holding inside her. Amara's mother, Mrs. Comfort, noticed the change during her occasional visits. She saw a difference in her once vibrant daughter. She became more silent, more withdrawn, and kept to herself a lot. She watched her daughter with knowing eyes. "Amara," she said one afternoon, helping her prepare dinner, "what is wrong with you? Amara, you don't look happy. Is anything bothering you?" "No, Mama, it's nothing. It's work stress. I will be fine," said Amara. "Try and take it easy before you break down. Don't pursue money and forget your health. You should slow down, or better still, quit that job. Are you not thinking of being a mother and giving me grandchildren in everything? Always remember, you have a support system, a great husband to provide all you need." Amara faked a smile to let her mom know she had heard her, and they continued preparing the meal. Those words resonated deeply. Amara realized that her current situation was a battle, not just with her husband, but with the societal expectations that often sought to limit women's ambitions. The next morning, it was time for Mrs. Comfort to return back to her house. Chidi, on his way to drop Amara's mum off, stopped at the supermarket to get some supplies for her. When they got to Mrs. Comfort's house, he dropped her off and he handed the groceries over to her. Chidi also gave Mama some money for her upkeep. Mrs. Comfort was so happy and she prayed for Chidi. She also told him how blessed she was to have a son-in-law like him. When Chidi finishing dropping Mama off, he headed straight to the store to oversee everything happening there. He spent some hours checking the records. When he was done for the day, he returned home. When Chidi got home, his dinner was served already, and he was hungry after the busy day, so he rushed to have his meal without freshening up. After he took the first bite, he felt a burnt taste from the food. He immediately screamed on top of his voice, calling Amara from wherever she was. Amara quickly hurried out to meet her husband when she heard him call her name. "Welcome back, darling, how was your day?" Before she could proceed, Chidi interrupted her. "Why did you serve me burnt meal?" Amara replied, "I am so sorry, my dear, you won't believe what happened. I had a very busy day at work today, then I had to stop over at the market to get some ingredients before returning home to prepare the meal, and while I was cooking I felt exhausted and I wanted to rest briefly, but I slept off for a while and the food got burnt slightly. Please just manage, I would prepare something delicious tomorrow." Chidi did not care what Amara was saying. He snapped and picked up the plate of food and poured it on her and told her never to repeat this nonsense next time. He walked out of her. Amara couldn't believe what just happened. She fell to her knees in tears, with her clothes stained with the burnt food. In her misery, she began picking the broken pieces of the glass plate. A piece of the glass accidentally injured her finger. While crying, she tidied up the floor and cleaned her wound and applied a bandage on it. Amara felt sad. That night she couldn't bring herself to sleep in the same room as Chidi, so she slept in the guest room. Chidi didn't even bother to come check on his wife. He just slept like a log of wood. The next morning, Amara woke up with a headache. She had cried a lot the last night. She went ahead to clean up the house and prepare breakfast for her husband. Amara placed a call to her office to inform them that she was not feeling well and she was given a day off. She felt glad because she wanted to be by herself that day. Chidi woke up and realized his wife didn't sleep in their room. He went to freshen up and got ready for work. When he went to the living room, he saw his food already served. This time the food looked delicious and properly cooked. He went ahead to look for Amara. He found her cleaning the kitchen. "Good morning, dear," Chidi said to Amara. Amara returned the greeting and continued what she was doing. Chidi held her hands gently. "I am sorry, my dear wife, for what I did yesterday. I was just tired and hungry, and I got annoyed when I saw the food you made for me. Please, I promise it won't happen again." Amara responded, "Chidi, I won't lie to you, you really hurt me, but you are my husband, and I will forgive you." Chidi was happy and hugged her. It was then he noticed the bandage on her hand. She explained what happened, and he apologized again. Amara told him she felt better now. "Darling, why aren't you dressed for work?" Chidi asked his wife. "I feel a little sick today, so I took a day off," said Amara. Chidi responded, "Okay, dear, just take some drugs and rest properly." She nodded in agreement. After Chidi took his breakfast, he went ahead to work. Amara went to freshen up and took some time to rest. She read the Bible and tried to find what God was saying about her situation. She knew she loved her husband, but his recent behaviors had been very heartbreaking. She prayed to God for his intervention in her marriage. The next day, Amara returned back to work. Because she wasn't at work the previous day, she had a lot of work on her table. She skipped lunch break because she wanted to be done with her pending work. Her friend Jennifer came to check on her to find out how she was doing. Since she called in that she was sick, Amara thanked her and told her she is doing better now. While they were talking, she noticed the bandage on Amara's finger, and she asked what happened to her. Amara lied that she cut her hand while slicing vegetables. Jennifer was sorry about the injury and asked they go for lunch. Amara declined and said she needed to finish up her work. She told Jennifer to run along. Amara returned to her work and lost track of time. By the time she was done, it was already 9 p.m. She rushed and packed up her bag and laptop. On Amara's way home, There was traffic on the road. She didn't want her husband to be worried about her, so she placed a call to him, but he didn't pick up. When she arrived home, it was 12 in the midnight. She was tired from the hectic day, so she just wanted to freshen up and get some rest. She tried using her own key to open the door, but it wasn't working, so she knocked on the door for a few minutes, but she didn't hear any response. At that point she picked up her phone to call Chidi, but he didn't answer her calls, so she kept knocking. Some minutes later, Chidi came to the door. Amara spoke up. "Darling, I have been knocking at the door for quite some time now. Didn't you hear me? I also tried using my keys, but I noticed you forgot to take out your keys from the lock. That's why I couldn't unlock the door." Chidi hurriedly cut in and responded, "What is a married woman doing outside by this time? Madam, go back to wherever you are coming from at this ungodly hour. Please, Chidi, let me in. I don't have the strength to quarrel today. I had a stressful day at work. I have been calling you to inform you that I wouldn't be able to come early, but you didn't pick up." Chidi interrupted, "I don't want to hear your explanation. Either you return back to where you are coming from, or you find a place to sleep outside, because there is no way you are stepping foot into this house this night. I am the man of this house, and my decision is final." He immediately closed the door and went inside the house, leaving Amara outside. Amara didn't know how to feel. She was speechless. She tried to cry, but it was like all the tears disappeared. Body ached from stress of work and the long traffic. She was hungry, and she needed to have a bath. A confused Amara went into her car. She didn't know who to call, because it was late and she didn't want to bother anyone. She stayed in the car, lost in thought. She let out a huge scream in the car. At that moment, pains filled her heart. She burst into tears. The thought of what her life had become made her very sad and miserable. She decided she would manage to sleep in her car. After struggling to sleep in her uncomfortable work clothes, she eventually fell asleep. The next morning, Chidi woke up after a peaceful sleep. Then he decided his wife would have learnt her lesson. He went to open the house door, and he found his wife sitting down waiting on a chair outside the house. When he saw her, he told her she was allowed to come inside the house now. She greeted him and entered the house. When Amara got into the house, she immediately went to freshen up, because she had work that day, and she didn't want to be late. So she arranged her clothes and the documents she needed for work that day. She took out some time to prepare Chidi a simple breakfast. At this time, she was already running late for work, so she increased her pace. Chidi put a call across to the supervisor in his store, informing him that he wouldn't make it to the store today, so he told him to oversee all the business for the day. When Amara was ready for work, she informed Chidi that she was going to work. "Do you think I will allow you go to that office, so you will go and visit your boyfriend after work? I have thought very well about it, and I have decided you should quit your job." Amara interrupted Chidi, "I have tried my best to be a good wife to you. I have been submissive to you. Why have you decided to take my peace away? Before we got married, you were very supportive of my career. Why have you changed so much towards me?" Chidi replied, "I am glad you said before we got married. Now you are a married woman, and it is obvious your job is more important to you than building your home. That stupid job is taking too much of your time. You have to stay home and take care of the house. You need to rest properly, so you will be able to conceive a child. Please, Chidi, you know how hard I have worked to get to this position in my job. I try my best to balance my work life and my marriage, and we will have a child at God's appointed time. I have been praying to God, and I know He will answer me." Chidi replied, "Amara, please, I don't like to repeat myself. I have already spoken. The earlier you accept it, the better." Amara couldn't bring herself to accept what Chidi just said, so she told him that she will go to the office, whether he agreed or not. In anger, she took the car keys to leave when Chidi slapped her on the face. She tried to defend herself, but that made him more angry. At that point, he started beating her, and she fell to the floor in pains. He kicked her several times. He ordered her never to go against his words, and then he left the room. Chidi stormed out of the door. Amara looked at him with so much hate. She wondered if she was really married to this beast. Their marriage had become a battlefield, full of so much resentments and anger. Amara cried heavily. She was in so much pains, and all her body was aching. She managed to help herself stand up, and she went to clean the blood on her body. She tried to bath, but she couldn't, because her body was in pains, and she was out of strength, so she went to the guest room and nursed her wound, still crying faintly. Chidi was consumed by frustration. He felt trapped and suffocated, and Amara, once the woman he had passionately loved, now seemed to represent everything he despised about his mundane existence. The local bar was Chidi's refuge at that moment. A place where he could escape the suffocating atmosphere at home. He sat down and ordered a bottle of beer to use in calming himself down. That was when he noticed a breathtaking, beautiful lady in a table across where he was sitting. She sat alone, her elegant dress hugging her curves, her makeup perfectly applied. She seemed different from the other women in the bar, sophisticated, confident, alluring. Chidi couldn't take his eyes off her. Gathering courage, he approached her. "Can I buy you a drink?" he asked, trying to sound casual. The lady looked up, her eyes studying him. She is an ambitious lady, and knew exactly what she wanted. And she really needed a distraction, temporary escape from her own complicated life. "Why not?" she responded with a slight smile. He joined her. "My name is Mercy, and you are?" He quickly responded. "My bad, I was to tell you my name first. My name is Chidi, so pleased to meet you." Their conversations was electric, filled with flirtation and unspoken promises. They chatted over some drinks, laughed and exchanged contacts. That night marked the beginning of Chidi and Mercy's communications. Chidi was really captivated by Mercy. She was everything Amara was not, bold and exciting. Within weeks, Chidi was deeply entangled in an affair. He started staying out late, making excuses to Amara about work meetings and overtime. He would spend entire nights at Mercy's apartment, returning home in the early hours of the next day. He constantly kept ordering Amara. He would instruct her to iron his clothes, run him water to bath, clean his shoes. He practically turned her into a slave in their home. Afterwards, he wouldn't even bother to show any appreciation for her efforts. One particular day, when she was washing Chidi's clothes, she noticed lipstick stains on his collar, but she said nothing. She was scared of confrontation, and her deep-rooted belief in maintaining family harmony kept her silent. Amara knew she wasn't blind. The signs were everywhere, but she didn't know how to feel about it. A part of her was happy he was always out, another part wanted her marriage to work. Months passed. Chidi's relationship with Amara deteriorated further. He completely stopped caring. He wouldn't eat any food Amara served him. He stopped making any effort to maintain even a semblance of respect. He would come home, sleep in their marital bed, and act as if she were invisible. Most times when Chidi is not spending time with Mercy, he hang out with his guys at the bar, or they went to party at the club. Sometimes he carried Mercy along, showing her off. For this special occasions, he would buy her expensive wigs and outfits that would really show off her beauty. It was football season, and Chidi wanted to host a few of his guys at his house to watch the match. In the morning, he instructed Amara to prepare a variety of dishes for them. Amara felt sad because he ordered her to make 4 different types of dishes all by herself. She didn't bother complaining because she didn't want him getting angry at her. So she agreed and went over to the market to get the ingredients she needed to cook the food. When she got back from the market, she started cooking, while Chidi was relaxing in the sitting room, watching TV. He didn't even bother to assist her in the kitchen. Amara struggled in the kitchen, trying to multitask, cutting vegetables, washing the rice, preparing soup. She was under a lot of pressure, but she tried to be calm. In the sitting room, Chidi's friends started to arrive. He invited 3 of his friends, Peter, Wol and Onima, to enjoy the football game together. The friends were chatting and discussing while they waited for the football match to begin. When the match started, all the men were so engrossed with the game, they made a lot of noise. They were obviously enjoying the football match. Back in the kitchen, Amara couldn't get any resting time because she wanted all the meals to be prepared properly. She was trying to avoid any trouble from Chidi. When the meals was ready, she packaged them nicely to take to the men in the living room. Amara brought the food and served them in the dining table. Amara and Chidi's friends exchanged greetings. They thanked her for the meal and complimented how good the food looked. Amara blushed at the compliments. It made her efforts feel appreciated. Peter, Chidi's best friend, asked Amara to join them and watch football. Before Amara could give him an answer, Chidi interrupted and told Peter that Amara had some work to do in the house. He also said she didn't like football and wouldn't enjoy the game. Amara was sad that her husband didn't even care about her opinions. He made the decisions in the house without any regard to her feelings. She just pretended and agreed with what Chidi said to avoid his drama. After watching the football match and enjoying the delicious meals prepared by Amara, it was late and Peter, Wal and Onima were ready to leave. Chidi escorted his friends outside his compound and they drove to their various houses. Chidi went back into his room and found Amara sleeping. She was exhausted from all the cooking she did. He started tapping Amara. "Wake up, go and wash the plates. Do you want cockroaches to get into the house?" Amara, who was still trying to wake up, mumbled some words that were not clear. Then Chidi tapped her harder and ordered her to go wash the plates immediately. Amara woke up that instant. "Please Chidi, I am tired. I was cooking for your friends for hours. I am not a robot, please. I need to sleep. I will wash the plates tomorrow when I wake up, or you can help wash it too. You are my husband, and it doesn't make you less of a man if you assist me." Chidi responded, "Madam, you must be a joker. Please get out of this room and go and wash the plates." Amara was trying to talk when Chidi dragged her out of the room and closed the door. He didn't even give her a chance to defend herself. Amara's heart was beating so fast, she felt like slapping Chidi, but she knew she was a virtuous woman, and she was expected to respect her husband, but it was getting harder by each day to respect this monster she called her husband. In her heartache and sadness, she went to wash the plates, and she tidied up the mess left by the men. While cleaning up, she felt like a slave in her own matrimonial home. She couldn't believe what had become of her life. The next day, Chidi got up early and without talking to Amara, who slept in the guest room, he left the house. Amara wasn't surprised. He left the house. It was his recent habit to go out and come back anytime he wanted to. Amara stood in the mirror, looking at her reflection. She had become a shadow of herself. She had been going through a lot of emotional and physical pains from Chidi. All the problems she had been facing didn't even allow her take care of her looks. Her hair looked unkempt. She always looked forward to a happy marriage while growing up, so seeing her current state made her feel genuine pity for herself. Amara knew she wanted things to change, but she didn't know who to run to. She didn't know how her mother would react to the story of her unfortunate marriage, and she didn't have much friends that she could confide in. She also had second thoughts about telling Jennifer, because she didn't know if it was wise to get advice from a single lady. Amara stayed at home alone the whole day. She did regular household activities while Chidi was out probably having fun. She thought of going out because she couldn't remember the last time she had fun, but she didn't feel confident and beautiful enough to go out, so she just stayed home alone. Weeks passed and Chidi's attitude was still the same. Amara was starting to lose hope that her husband would change, but she always called her pastor, who encouraged her to pray and fast and have faith in the Lord that Chidi would change. She started visiting the church more often. She drew strength from the services. She tried to participate in weekly activities because they kept her busy and it strengthened her faith. On most days, Amara would cook food for her and Chidi, but she would have to eat alone because he mostly left and returned back home at night, and when she offered him food he would say he had already eaten. One night when Chidi was fast asleep in their bedroom, Amara was lost in thought. She had suspicions that Chidi was cheating on her, and she needed answers. She remembered the time she was washing Chidi's clothes, and she found a lipstick stain on his shirt, and his constant behavior of always staying out late or even sleeping out of the house were all clear signs that Chidi was cheating. So she decided that she would follow him out and try to see where he always goes to visit. Maybe that will help her find the woman he was having an affair with. Chidi got ready to go out in the morning after he ate his breakfast. "Amara, I am going to work after then. I would have a meeting with a potential investor, so don't bother waiting up for me, because I won't be coming home early, and please don't start disturbing me with your phone calls. I don't want any distractions today." "Okay, Chidi, I understand you. Have a good day at work today." Chidi took his office bag and went out. Amara decided today would be a good day for her to follow Chidi and find out where he normally goes to all the time. Immediately Chidi left the compound. Amara wore glasses and a face cap for a disguise. Then she entered her car and followed him slowly. She tried to maintain a distance from his car so he wouldn't see her. Chidi kept on driving without even knowing his wife was following him. He arrived at his car stand and went inside. During this time, Amara was parked at a safe distance away from the car stand. An hour later, Chidi stepped out of his office and started driving again. This time Amara followed him again. He drove for some time, and he finally stopped at a fancy bar and lounge. LT was a big place, so when he went ahead to sit down, she found a hidden spot far from him and she sat down, waiting to see who would come to join her husband. At about 15 minutes later, a beautiful, curvy lady who was dressed in a skimpy dress arrived and hugged Chidi. They both started talking and smiling like people in love. They couldn't even get their eyes of each other. Amara was instantly heartbroken. Her husband didn't like her wearing such indecent dresses, yet he was here flirting with a lady in such an outfit. She started feeling suffocated in the same place with her cheating husband. She knew she had to leave, so she carefully left the restaurant and ensured no one saw her. She managed to find her way to her car. Inside her car, it was a burst of emotions. She cried at how unlucky she was to have married a man like Chidi. Amara drove around not sure where she wanted to go. She didn't want to go back to the house and stay alone in her agony. She also did not want to see Chidi when he comes back, because she didn't want to do something bad to him, which she would end up regretting out of her anger towards him. Amara placed a call to her mother, informing her that she was coming to her house. At Mrs. Comfort house, Amara broke down. "My daughter, are you all right? Please tell me what happened to you." In tears Amara spoke. "Mummy, you won't believe what Chidi did. He is cheating on me. I found him in a bar, with a lady hugging and kissing each other." Mrs. Comfort was shocked to hear this. "Amara, are you sure of what you saw? Maybe it was someone who looked like your husband." "Mama, he is my husband and I know his looks very well. I followed him and I saw him meet a strange lady." Mrs. Comfort responded, "My dear, please just calm down. I am sure he has a good reason. You know how men can be. It is their normal nature to cheat. What matters is that you are his wife and the other lady will always remain a mistress, so just pray about it, and I know he will change with time." "Oh my God, can you hear yourself, Mummy? Why are you always making excuses for that man? He is not the perfect person you think. I am done protecting his image. Mummy, do you know Chidi beats me at any slight quarrel? He treats me like a slave in our own home. I have decided I am going to get a divorce. Chidi is a monster and I want to leave him." Mrs. Comfort felt sad after hearing what her daughter said. "I am sorry you had to experience all of this, my dear. Marriage is full of up and downs. But you can't rush and make any decisions. You will end up regretting. Just imagine how it would be as a divorced lady. Do you know what people will say? Please, Amara, just keep on praying for your husband. I know he will change. You know men like to show their authority. As the years go by, he will become more mature, soft, and he will change." Amara couldn't believe all the words that came out from her mother's mouth. It was obvious all her mother cared about was what the society would say. Without replying her mother, Amara walked out from the room. Her mother kept calling her back, but she ignored everything she said. She went straight to the bathroom to take a cold bath to help her feel better.
Our dear subscribers, and new subscribers to come, if you are anxious to know how this story progresses, please slide into our comment section and type more. We guarantee that episode 2 will be mind-blowing. We truly appreciate your support. Please share, like, and comment. We love you.